Let me ask you something. How many nights have you laid in bed replaying a mistake over and over again in your mind? How many times have you looked in the mirror and thought, if only I had done it differently, if only I hadn't messed it up, if only I was better? We've all been there. We've all carried that invisible weight that nobody else sees, but you feel it every single day. And here's the truth. That weight doesn't just slow you down, it steals your future before you even get there. The world will forgive you quicker than you'll ever forgive yourself. That's the tragedy. You keep punishing yourself for things that are already over. You wonder why it's so hard to move forward. You wonder why you can't feel free, why your confidence feels shaky, why your energy feels drained. It's not because you're broken. It's because you're still holding yourself hostage to your past. What if today could be the day you let go? What if today could be the moment you decided, I will not let my past mistakes define my future? What if you could take all of that pain, all of that regret, turn it into the very fuel that builds your strength, your compassion, your power? Listen, this isn't about ignoring what you did. This isn't about pretending it didn't happen. This is about reclaiming your life from the grip of self-judgment. Because the truth is, until you forgive yourself, you'll never fully experience the peace, the freedom, and the power that's already inside you. So if you've ever felt trapped by your own thoughts, if you've ever been harder on yourself than anyone else has ever been, then this message is for you. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear is not just a speech. It's a roadmap to set yourself free. You see, the greatest prisons we build for ourselves is the prison of guilt, regret, and shame. Most people don't even realize they're locked inside it because it becomes such a normal part of their daily lives. It's like carrying around a heavy backpack filled with rocks. You wake up in the morning and before you even start your day, you sling that weight over your shoulder. You carry it to work, you carry it into your relationships, you carry it into your quiet moments alone. And the worst part, those rocks aren't even real anymore. They're memories, they're moments that are already gone. But because you've held on to them, they feel like they're happening again and again, every single day. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you punished yourself for something that's already over? Maybe it was a mistake you made years ago. Maybe it was words you said that you can't take back. Maybe it was a decision that cost you a job, a relationship, an opportunity. And here's the question, why are you still carrying it? Why are you letting yesterday steal from today? The truth is, no amount of guilt will ever rewrite the past. Amount of shame will ever erase a mistake. You cannot go back and undo what has already been done. But what you can do, what you must do, is decide to stop carrying it forward. Because carrying that weight doesn't punish the past. It punishes your present. It robs you of energy. It robs you of clarity. It robs you of joy. And if you let it, it will rob you of your future too. Seeing people destroy their own happiness, not because of what's happening now, but because of what they refuse to release from the past. They sabotage new opportunities because deep down, they don't believe they deserve them. They push away love because they're still ashamed of who they used to be. They stop dreaming because they think their past failures are proof of their future limitations. And that is the biggest lie you could ever believe. Let me tell you something. You are not your past. You are not your worst mistake. You are not the decisions you regret. You are not the words you wish you could take back. You are the person who has lived through it, the person who has endured it, person who is still standing today in spite of it. That means you are stronger than you realize. That means you have more resilience than you give yourself credit for. That means your story is not over. It's just waiting for you to stop dragging the last chapter of the next one into the next one, trying to drive a car while staring only in the rearview mirror. What happens? You crash. You miss what's ahead. You can't move forward with focus because you're obsessed with what's behind you. And that's what most people are doing in their lives. They're driving forward while living backward. They're so consumed by old mistakes that they can't see the opportunities right in front of them. And here's the crazy part. If someone you loved came to you and said, I can't forgive myself for something I did, what would you say to them? You'd comfort them. You'd remind them that they're human. You'd tell them to move forward, to grow, to not let one moment define them. You'd give them compassion. But when it comes to yourself, you become the harshest judge, the cruelest critic who never lets you off the hook. Isn't it time you gave yourself the same compassion you so freely give others? Let me ask you this. What's the cost of carrying that weight? Think about the energy it drains from you. Think about the opportunities you've said no because you didn't feel worthy. Think about the love you've blocked out because you didn't feel deserving. Think about the moments of peace you've lost because you were too busy rehearsing a past that will never change. That's the cost. And as long as you keep carrying it, the cost only gets higher. But the moment you decide to set it down, everything changes. The moment you say, I refuse to be defined by what's behind me, you reclaim your freedom, you reclaim your joy, you reclaim your ability to step fully into the life you were meant to live. Forgiving yourself isn't weakness, it's strength. It's not saying what I did doesn't matter. It's saying it mattered, it shaped me, it taught me, but it will not control me anymore. Because here's the truth, your past can either be a weight that breaks you, a lesson that builds you. The choice is yours. You can keep dragging those chains around, exhausting yourself with every step, or you can cut them loose and finally feel what it's like to move freely again. And I'll tell you this, when you let go, you stop carrying the weight. You don't just free yourself. You free everyone around you. Your energy shifts. Your presence changes. You show up differently in your relationships, in your work, in your dreams. People feel it. You feel it. Suddenly, you're not the prisoner of your past. You're the architect of your future. So ask yourself right now, what weight have you been carrying that it's finally time to release? What guilt, what regret, shame do you need to put down so you can stop surviving and start living again? What story have you told yourself about who you are that's been holding you back? And are you ready to let it go? Because until you do, nothing changes. The moment you choose to stop carrying the weight of the past, you take the first step into freedom, into power, and into the life you truly deserve. When we make mistakes, when we fall short, the instinct most people have is to punish themselves. They replay it, they criticize themselves, they carry guilt, like it's some sort of moral tax they have to pay forever. But let me tell you something, you don't grow from punishment, you grow from lessons. You don't expand your life by beating yourself down. You expand it by taking what happened, extracting the wisdom, and using it as fuel for who you are becoming. Think about it. Punishment keeps you stuck in the same place, circling the same memory, reinforcing the same pain. But lessons move you forward. Lessons create progress. Lessons turn your worst day in the foundation of your best day. The mistake itself is not the end. It's the beginning of a new understanding. If you choose to look at it that way, every mistake carries within it a gift. It may not feel like in the moment. It may feel like shame. It may feel like heartbreak. It may feel like loss, but buried inside is an insight that can shape you in ways nothing else could. The challenge is most people never go deep enough to find it. They get stuck at the surface, stuck at the pain, stuck at the regret. So they stay in punishment mode. They think self-beating is somehow noble, that by suffering long enough they can make up for what happened. But all that does is drain the very energy they need to change. The truth is, life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. And that means every mistake, every failure, every wrong turn has something to give you if you're willing to look beyond the punishment and ask, what is the lesson here? What can I take from this that makes me better, stronger, wiser? Let me give you an example. Think about when you first learned to walk a child. You didn't take your first step perfectly. You stumbled, you fell, you probably cried. Now imagine if in that moment you decided to punish yourself. I fell, I failed, I'm not good enough, I'll never try again. You would never have walked. But instead, you took the lesson. Your little body adjusted. Your brain recalibrated. You tried again. And eventually you walked. That's the pattern of growth. The fall wasn't failure. It was feedback. The mistake wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Now fast forward to your life today. Maybe you said something you regret. Maybe you hurt someone you loved. Maybe you made a decision in business or in your career that cost you time or money. The instinct might be to sit there and stew in it, to replay it endlessly, to punish yourself. But ask yourself, does that create change? Does it keep you locked in the past? The power comes when you say, okay, it happened. What's the lesson? What is this trying to teach me? How can this make me better? Because the reality is your mistakes can either be the anchor that drowns you or the compass that guides you. They can either be chains or they can be teachers. The difference is in the meaning you assign to them. And meaning is everything. Two people can go through the same failure, the same heartbreak, the same setback. One uses it as proof that they're not enough. The other uses it as fuel to rise higher. The event was the same. The difference was the lesson they chose to see. Some of the greatest leaders, entrepreneurs, athletes, and creators in history didn't get there by never making mistakes. They got there because they learned to turn every mistake into a lesson. They didn't waste years punishing themselves. They used that time to grow. They asked better questions. They got curious. They asked, can I use this? How can I make sure this doesn't happen again? How can I turn this pain into purpose? Now, you to think about your own life. What mistake are you still punishing yourself for? What memory are you stuck replaying that could actually be a lesson in disguise? Maybe you made the wrong financial decision. Did it teach you about responsibility, about planning, about patience? Maybe you lost a relationship. What did it reveal about communication, about your own patterns, about what you really need in love? Maybe you failed at something you dreamed about. Did it teach you about resilience, about creativity, about finding another way? See, life will keep repeating the lesson until you learn it. That's why some people feel like they're living the same struggle again and again. It's because they're stuck in punishment instead of progress. The moment you take the lesson, the cycle breaks. The moment you say, I understand now, the pattern shifts. That's when growth happens. That's when life moves forward. And let's be honest, most of the qualities you admire in yourself today probably came from lessons you learned through pain, not from moments of comfort. Your strength came from the times you thought you couldn't go on, but you did. Your compassion came from the times you were broken and you realized what others might be going through. Wisdom came from the moments you wish you could erase, but that taught you something no book, no teacher, no easy path could have taught. Those lessons shaped you. They carved depth into you. They gave you the very tools you need to build the future you deserve. So stop punishing yourself. Stop reliving the guilt. Stop thinking suffering is the payment you owe. The payment was already made in the moment it happened. Real value now is in the lesson. And when you embrace that lesson, you transform what once felt like a burden into a blessing. Here's the truth. You cannot change what you did, but you can change what it means. You cannot erase the past. You can rewrite the story you tell yourself about it. You cannot undo the mistake, but you can decide right now that it will not be wasted, that it will be the very thing that makes you wiser, stronger, and more prepared for the future. So ask yourself right now, are you punishing yourself or are you learning? Because the second you choose the lesson over the punishment, you set yourself free. One of the most dangerous things about not forgiving yourself is that it doesn't just live in your mind, it bleeds into your actions. It becomes a pattern, a cycle, and that cycle is self-sabotage. You think you're just holding on to a little guilt, a little regret, but what's really happening is you're planting seeds of doubt, of shame, of unworthiness, and those seeds grow into behaviors that hold you back again and again. Think about it. You don't forgive yourself. What do you tell yourself? I'm not good enough. I don't deserve happiness. I can't be trusted. I always screw things up. Those aren't just thoughts. Those are commands. And whether you realize it or not, brain listens. Your body listens. Your decisions follow. Before long, you're not just remembering the past, you're recreating it in your present. You're repeating the very pain you're trying to escape. That's the cruel irony of unforgiveness. You punish yourself for your mistakes, the more you end up repeating them. The more you carry guilt, the more you behave in ways that prove it right. You drink too much, you procrastinate, you push people away, you turn down opportunities, you settle for less than you're capable of, and then you say, see, I knew I'd mess it up again. That's the cycle. The mistake leads to shame, the shame leads to sabotage, and the sabotage creates more mistakes. Round and round it goes. Here's the truth. You are not broken. You are not weak. You're simply caught in a cycle that you have the power to break. And the way you break it is by forgiving yourself, because forgiveness is the reset button. Forgiveness interrupts the pattern. Forgiveness says, yes, I made a mistake. Yes, I fell short, but that doesn't mean I'm doomed to repeat it. That doesn't mean I have to keep proving the same story true. I can choose differently right now. I've seen people live decades of their lives stuck in self-sabotage, not because they didn't have the talent, not because they didn't have the opportunity, because deep down they believed they weren't worthy of a different outcome. They believed they had to keep paying for something they did years ago. And as long as they believed that, they kept finding ways to make sure their life matched that belief. That's what the mind does. It fights to stay consistent with the story you tell yourself. So let me ask you, what story are you telling yourself? Are you telling yourself you're unworthy, that you'll never change, that you don't deserve love, success, or peace because of your past? If you are, you're going to find ways to sabotage anything good that comes your way. And you'll call it bad luck, you'll call it fate, but really it's just the echo of unforgiveness shaping your choices. The good news, the moment you choose to forgive yourself, the story shifts. And when the story shifts, the cycle breaks. Because forgiveness isn't just letting go of the past, it's opening the door to a new future. It's telling your mind, I am worthy, I am capable, I do deserve better. And when you truly believe that, your actions start to align with it. You start protecting your energy, you start saying yes to opportunities. You start choosing relationships that uplift you instead of drain you. You stop sabotaging yourself and you start supporting yourself. Think about the power in that. One decision to forgive has the ability to end years, even decades of self-sabotage. Moment of choosing compassion over criticism can change the trajectory of your entire life. Because the truth is, your brain doesn't care what's true. It cares what you tell it often enough. If you keep feeding it guilt and shame, you'll live in guilt and shame. If you feed it forgiveness and worthiness, you'll live in forgiveness and worthiness. That's the cycle you want to create. And let's be honest, sabotage doesn't just hurt you. It hurts everyone connected to you. You don't forgive yourself and you stay stuck in destructive patterns. The people you love feel it. They see you shrink when they know you could stand tall. They feel you pulling away when they want to connect. They watch you settle for less when they know you're capable of more. And sometimes they even suffer directly from the behaviors you create out of guilt. Breaking the cycle isn't just for you. It's for everyone who counts on you, everyone who loves you, everyone who needs the best version of you. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine waking up tomorrow with no guilt, no shame, no weight from the past. Imagine stepping into the day free from that inner voice that says, you'll mess it up again. Imagine actually trusting yourself again. Imagine making decisions with clarity, with confidence, with peace. How different would your life feel? How different would your relationships be? How much more would you be willing to try, to risk, to create if you weren't busy sabotaging yourself before you even began? That's not just a dream. That's available to you the moment you choose to forgive yourself. Because forgiveness doesn't erase what happened, but it erases the power it has to keep controlling you. Forgiveness breaks the chain between the mistake and the sabotage. It gives you your power back. Here's the thing. You don't have to wait for some perfect moment. You don't need someone else to tell you you're forgiven. You don't need a certain number of years to pass. You can decide right now, in this very moment, done repeating the past. I'm done sabotaging my own happiness. I forgive myself. And when you say it with conviction, when you mean it, you'll feel the weight lift. You'll feel the cycle lose its grip. You'll feel something inside of you say, finally, because the truth is, deep down, you already know it's time. Deep down, you're tired of reliving the same patterns. Deep down, you're ready to stop being your own worst enemy and start being your own greatest ally. Deep down, you don't want to keep sabotaging the very life you've been praying for. You want to step into it fully. You want to live free. And you can. It begins with forgiveness. That's the doorway. That's the reset. That's the only way the cycle ends and a new chapter begins. So ask yourself, are you ready to stop sabotaging yourself? You ready to step out of the prison of guilt and into the freedom of forgiveness? Because the moment you do, your entire life changes. One of the most devastating effects of not forgiving yourself is that it steals your identity. You stop seeing yourself for who you really are and start defining yourself by what you did, by where you failed, by how you fell short. Instead of saying, this is me, you say, I am my mistake. I am my regret. I am my failure. And when you take that on as your identity, you give away your power. Because make no mistake, your identity shapes everything. The way you see yourself is the thermostat for your entire life. You can only perform up to the level of who you believe you are. If you see yourself as broken, you'll make choices that reinforce being broken. If you see yourself as unworthy, reject love and opportunities because they don't match the image you carry inside. If you see yourself as a failure, you'll sabotage your success because deep down you don't believe you deserve to keep it. And all of it comes back to identity. That's why forgiveness matters so deeply. Because forgiveness is not just about releasing the past. It's about reclaiming who you are. It's about remembering that you are not your mistakes. You are not your darkest moment. You are not the chapter you wish you could rewrite. You are the author. You are the one who lived through it. You are the one who has the pen in your hand right now. Think about it this way. If you picked up a book and read one bad chapter, do you close the book and say, this whole story is garbage?
No.
You'd turn the page. You'd see what happens next. You'd understand that one chapter doesn't define the whole story. But when it comes to your own life, that's exactly what so many people do. They live like their worst chapter is the entire book. They forget they have pages left to write. They forget the story isn't finished. Forgiving yourself is about taking the pen back and saying, this is not the end of me. This is just one chapter, and it's going to make the next ones even stronger. And here's the key. You can't reclaim your identity without forgiveness, because as long as you hold on to guilt and shame, they'll cloud how you see yourself. They'll whisper lies every day. They'll tell you, you're not enough. You don't deserve happiness. You can't be trusted. And if you believe those lies long enough, they become your identity. When you forgive yourself, you silence that voice. You reclaim the truth. You remind yourself of who you really are, someone who has fallen, yes, but also someone who has gotten back up. Someone who has learned. Someone who has grown. Someone who is worthy of love, of peace, of joy, of success. When you reclaim your identity, you reclaim your power, because suddenly you stop living as a prisoner of your past and start living as a creator of your future. You stop seeing yourself as the problem and start seeing yourself as the solution. You stop giving your mistakes the power to define you and start using them as stepping stones to refine you. That shift changes everything. Let me ask you something. Who would you be without the guilt you're carrying, without the shame, without the constant reminder of what you did wrong? Really think about it. Who would you be? Because that person is still there. That person hasn't gone anywhere. They've just been buried under layers of self-judgment. Forgiveness is the act of peeling those layers back and saying, here I am. This is me. This is who I've always been beneath the weight of regret. And when you step into that identity again, you stand taller. You move differently. You carry yourself with a kind of certainty that nothing outside of you can shake. You don't need anyone else to validate you because you've validated yourself. You don't need permission to dream again because you've given yourself permission. You don't wait for the world to say, you're free. You declare, I am free. And here's the beauty. You don't just reclaim your own power. You give others permission to reclaim theirs too. Because when people see you owning your truth, forgiving yourself, refusing to be defined by your worst moments, they see what's possible for them. They see that they don't have to stay stuck in shame. They see that identity is not fixed. It's chosen. They see that power is not something you wait to be handed. It's something you step back into the moment you decide. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but I don't feel powerful. I don't feel like I can just reclaim my identity. I feel small. I feel weak. And I get that. But let me tell you something. You don't wait until you feel powerful to reclaim your power. You reclaim your power first, and then the feelings follow. Forgiveness isn't about waiting for the emotions to line up. It's about making a choice that says, I will no longer define myself by my past. I will define myself by who I choose to be now. And when you live that choice, your emotions catch up. Your confidence catches up. Your actions catch up. Because at the end of the day, identity is a decision. It's not given. It's not permanent. It's something you choose. Every morning you wake up, you are choosing who you are. If you've been choosing to live as your mistake, today is the day to choose differently. Today is the day to say, I am not what I did. I am who I decide to become. That's the moment your power comes back. That's the moment the chains fall off. That's the moment you stop living in the shadow of who you were and step into the light of who you are. So here's my challenge to you. Stop letting your past dictate your identity. Stop letting your mistakes write your story. Stop living as if your worst day is the definition of your entire life. Take it back. Reclaim it, own it, forgive yourself, and step into the identity of the person you were always meant to be, because until you do, your power will stay in the hands of the past. But the moment you forgive yourself and reclaim your identity, you take that power back and nothing can stop you. One of the hardest things for people to do is show themselves compassion. We live in a world where we are trained to be critical. From the time we're young, we're measured, graded, compared. We learn very quickly how to see what's wrong with us. We know every flaw, every weakness, every shortcoming. We memorize them. When we make mistakes, we pile on the criticism as if tearing ourselves apart is somehow going to build us up. But let me ask you, when has criticism ever healed a wound? When has self-attack ever created growth? It doesn't. It only keeps the wound open. It only keeps you bleeding inside when you could be healing. Compassion is the missing ingredient. Compassion is what allows you to take that same energy you've been using to punish yourself and turn it into power. Compassion is what stops the cycle of self-hate and starts the cycle of self-respect. Compassion says, yes, I fell short. Yes, I made mistakes, but I am still worthy of love. I am still worthy of peace. I am still worthy of joy. Now, let me make something clear. Compassion is not the same as excuses. Compassion is not pretending your mistakes don't matter. It's not looking the other way. Compassion is about telling yourself the truth without tearing yourself apart. It's saying, I see what I did. I see what it cost. I see who it hurt. And I also see my humanity. I also see my potential. I also see my ability to grow from this. That's compassion. Most of us are great at giving compassion to other people. If a friend comes to you and says, I messed up, what do? You listen, you comfort them. You remind them of their value. You help them see the bigger picture. You don't sit there and destroy them. You don't say you're worthless. You'll never change. You're a failure. So why do you say those things to yourself? Why do you treat yourself like the enemy when you need a friend the most? Here's why. Because criticism is easy. It's automatic. It doesn't require courage. It's just repeating the old voice that's been programmed into your head for years. But compassion requires strength. Compassion requires you to go against that inner critic and say, no, not talk to myself this way anymore. Compassion requires you to build a new voice inside, one that lifts you instead of crushing you. And here's the truth. Until you choose compassion over criticism, you will never fully forgive yourself. Because forgiveness and compassion are connected. You can't have one without the other. Forgiveness is the decision to release the past. Compassion is the energy that makes that decision stick. Without compassion, you'll keep slipping back into judgment. You'll keep reminding yourself of all the reasons you don't deserve to move on. But with compassion, you can look at yourself honestly and still say, I choose to love me anyway. Think about the difference this makes in how you live. You operate from criticism, you shrink, you hide, you play small, you avoid risks because you already expect to fail. You avoid love because you already expect to hurt or be hurt. You avoid opportunities because you already believe you're not worthy. When you operate from compassion, you open, you try, you risk, you believe again, you allow yourself to step into life fully because you know that no matter what happens, you will not be your own enemy. You'll have your own back. You'll treat yourself with dignity. Even when you fall short, that changes everything. And let me tell you, compassion is not weakness. Compassion is the ultimate strength. Anybody can criticize. Anybody can tear down. It takes courage to stand in front of the mirror, see your scars, see your failures, see your regrets, and still say, I love you. I forgive you. I'm with you. That's strength. That's what builds resilience. That's what gives you the power to rise after every fall. I want you to think about someone in your life who has loved you at your worst. Someone who didn't walk away when you were broken. When you made mistakes, you didn't feel like you deserved love. Do you remember how powerful that was? Do you remember how much it helped you keep going? That is exactly what you must learn to give yourself. That kind of unconditional compassion. Because if you only love yourself when you're perfect, you'll never love yourself at all. But when you can love yourself through your imperfections, you become unstoppable. And let's be real, your life is already hard enough. Throws enough challenges at you. Why make it harder by becoming your own executioner? Why pile on pain when what you really need is support? You've been criticizing yourself for years. Has it worked? Has it made you better? Has it brought peace? So why keep doing what doesn't work? Try compassion. Try choosing a different response. Try treating yourself like you matter, because you do. I can promise you this. When you choose compassion over criticism, you unlock doors inside of you that you didn't even know were there. You start to feel lighter. You start to feel worthy again. You start to feel capable of dreaming, of trying, of living fully. And people will notice. They'll see the shift. They'll feel it in the way you carry yourself. They'll see it in the way you handle setbacks. Because when you show yourself compassion, you radiate a quiet confidence that no criticism could ever give you. So the next time that inner critic rises up, the next time you feel the urge to tear yourself apart, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what would compassion say right now? What would love say? What would the version of me that actually believes in me say? And then speak those words to yourself. Speak them until they drown out the critic. Speak them until they feel natural. Speak them until they become your new default. Because at the end of the day, you don't need another enemy in your life. You need an ally. The most powerful ally you will ever have is yourself. The question is, will you choose to be your own critic or will you choose to be your own champion? The moment you choose compassion over criticism, you stop being the person who tears yourself down and start being the person who builds yourself up. And that's the person the world needs you to be. There comes a moment when you have to decide that the past is no longer your home. You've lived there long enough. You've replayed the guilt, the shame, the regret long enough. You've carried the weight of what you should have done, could have done, wish you'd done differently. But the truth is, you don't live there anymore. That chapter is already written. That door is already closed. The question now is, are you going to keep standing in that doorway looking back, or are you going to step through into the future you deserve? Because make no mistake, you do deserve it. That's the part people struggle with most. They think forgiveness is about letting themselves off the hook, about lowering the standard, about ignoring the consequences. But that's not it. Forgiveness is about creating space. Space to breathe. Space to rebuild. Space to imagine something bigger than the pain of yesterday. Forgiveness clears the clutter of regret so you can finally see the road ahead. And I want you to really picture this. Does your future look like if you never forgive yourself? What does it look like if you keep dragging the same guilt into every new day? Be honest with yourself. You'll never fully trust again. You'll never risk again. You'll never love fully again. Because every step you take forward will be chained to what's behind you. You'll always be holding back, always questioning, always doubting. That's not a future. That's a slow death while you're still alive. When you forgive yourself, when you truly let go, it's like taking a deep breath for the first time in years. It's like seeing the world in color after living in black and white. Suddenly, the future doesn't look like a threat. It looks like an opportunity. You stop asking, what if I fail again? And you start asking, what if this works? What if this is the breakthrough? If this is where it all turns around, that's the power of stepping into a future you actually deserve. And let me tell you something, your future is not earned by perfection. It's not reserved for the people who never make mistakes. It's created by those who refuse to let mistakes define them. Your future is built by choice, and forgiveness is the choice that unlocks it. Because the truth is, you can't move into tomorrow if you're still chained to yesterday. You can't embrace new love, new opportunities, new possibilities if you're still holding on to old pain. Something has to give, and the thing that must give is your unwillingness to forgive yourself. Look, life isn't waiting for you. Time is moving whether you forgive yourself or not. The days keep passing, the opportunities keep coming, the world keeps spinning. And you have a choice. You can waste those days dragging the past with you, or you can step into them free, open. Ready? You can keep replaying what's already gone, or you can decide right now to write a new story. And I want you to hear this clearly. Your future is not a continuation of your past. It is a clean slate the moment you choose it to be. Yes, you carry lessons. Yes, you carry wisdom, you carry scars, but those are not chains. They are reminders of how far you've come, of what you've overcome, of the strength that's already inside you. Your scars are proof that you're still here. Because you're still here, you still have a future. So the question becomes, what kind of future do you want? One built on fear, on doubt, on shame, or one built on freedom, on courage, on love, because you cannot have both. You cannot keep holding on to guilt and expect to step into greatness. You cannot cling to regret and expect to feel joy. You cannot punish yourself forever and expect peace. If you want the future you deserve, you've got to choose it. You've got to claim it. You've got to say, I forgive myself and I'm stepping forward now. And here's the beautiful part. When you step into that future, you don't just change your life. You change the lives around you. People will feel the difference in you. They'll see the lightness in your spirit, the openness in your heart, the strength in your presence. You'll inspire them, not because you were perfect, but because you weren't, and you still chose to rise. You still chose to forgive. You still to build a future instead of staying stuck in the ruins of the past. That kind of example has power. That kind of example creates ripples. So let's make this real. Want you to think about the life you've been holding yourself back from. The dreams you've put on hold because you didn't feel worthy. The love you've turned away because you didn't feel deserving. The opportunities you walked past because you didn't trust yourself. What if you stopped saying no to yourself? What if you allowed yourself to step into those things? What if you gave yourself permission to actually live the life you've been imagining? Because that life is possible. It's waiting for you. But you'll never get there if you're stuck looking backward. And maybe you're thinking, it's too late for me. I've wasted too much time. I've made too many mistakes. No, that's the voice of the past trying to chain you again. The truth is, as long as you're breathing, it's not too late. As long as you have a heartbeat, you have a future. And you deserve that future. Not because you've been flawless, because you've been human, and being human means growth. It means change. It means possibility. So today, right here, right now, you have a choice. You can keep living small, trapped by regret, held hostage by guilt, chained to the identity of your mistakes. Or you can forgive yourself, reclaim your power, choose compassion, and step boldly into the future you were always meant to have. It's not about earning it. It's not about proving it. It's about choosing it. You can choose it now because the moment you forgive yourself, the past loses its grip. The present becomes alive and the future opens wide. And that's the future you deserve.